Hello, hello, hello. So happy to have you with us. So I am like really excited because now I feel like I can very soon start talking about the newest episodes of The Bachelor with Matt James. And we'll talk Matt James at the end of this video. Like, comment, and subscribe. We're going to talk about part 2 of CLARE. But I'm excited because the first like 6 episodes were dealing with certain women in the house and their petty drama, and now that pretty much all of the women who were involved in that sort of rigmarole are out, now we can focus more on him finding love. But first, let's get into Claire Crawley, her season of The Bachelorette, and why I'm still talking about this, yes, because I told you I was going to do a part 2 about why perhaps it just didn't work, and we covered 3 plus a bonus in the last episode, and we're going to get into some more in this one. Okay, so just as a quick recap, you can check out the first part, but some of the reasons as to why it didn't last was that she was giving her attention, I felt, during the season to the wrong guys. She also social media stalked Dale, for lack of a better term, and was more focused on, those super kind of official, qualities and that sort of thing. And along with the quick engagement, maybe did not take enough time to have those deeper conversations in their impromptu fantasy suite, which would have maybe made sure that they were on the same page regarding how they were going to conduct life outside of the season after the engagement. So you can check out that video again, part 1, and to go to listen to more of the subpoints. But now we're going to get into the other part. So some telltale signs of what I feel were him kind of showing some reluctance was when they had their sit down with this picture right here. They had their sit down after she just accepted his engagement. And, they answer some hard questions of, oh, did you know him before? She said no. I believe her. Check out my first video on that and another smaller video about that as well. But in this interview, Chris Harrison was talking about, how they felt about certain things. And he said, especially, just right around the engagement. And he said, I accepted it. And he was talking about, I don't have the clip to put in the video here, but he was basically talking about he accepted the engagement, that the engagement was going to happen, and that he was going to be pretty much swept away in this fast whirlwind of the relationship. And that's great. If you want to have a whirlwind romance, that's fantastic. That's beautiful. But if the guy is saying he accepted it, and that basically he's saying he accepted it as if he was the one getting the ring and she was putting the ring on his finger, then I think that is that's not a good sign. I'll just leave it at that. That's not a good sign. He's the man who's putting the ring on her finger. For him to basically say I accepted it as if he was resigned to just accept the proposal basically from her, it was not being set up as something he was going into with the same level of excitement, same level of love, and the same level of dedication that she believed she felt. So for me, that was a clue post engagement that something wasn't going to fly. Okay, and this next one is more pre-engagement with how Claire handled the process. I believe if she let the process play out, Dale would have eventually eliminated himself, or she would have noticed and allowed herself to notice the other men and form relationships with the other men with an open mind and an open heart, and she may have chosen one of the other men. I believe if Claire did not rush the gun I think jump the gun and let this process play totally out like it was supposed to, I think she would have found herself probably getting unattracted to him or less attracted to him over time, because she would have asked those hard questions. She would have realized this man doesn't want to move to your hometown. He doesn't want to stay local to you. He wants to, be in the city where it's exciting, and he's taking his IG shots and things of that nature. He's not really ready to kind of slow down. And I'm not saying that makes him less of a serious man that he has social media like that, but I think that it shows kind of maybe where his head is at in terms of this experience and in terms of putting himself out there. And maybe she needs someone who's not so in the forefront. Maybe she needs someone who's more of a support system for her, who will let her shine and do those things, whether it be on social media or wherever. And he's more of the man in the background, and he's secure enough in himself where he's able to be the man she needs him to be for her. Perhaps that's something she would have thought of. Who knows? So I just believe that that is definitely a main reason why it did not work with her and Dale, that it was kind of rushed. We know the Bachelor and the Bachelorette franchise are very much accelerated processes to find a spouse. I think I've just been making up words today, guys. But those are some things I noticed. Now, for Matt James. Well, I did find it refreshing that in the beginning episodes of his season, he was just, I will say, so sweet, in that he was, talking to Chris Harris, and he was a little nervous about things. He was praying, which I think I was like forming some tears in my eyes, because it's really nice to know that, he was praying throughout the process. And I just found that to be so sweet, because usually it's like, oh, I'm always praying, I'm doing this, but he was actually praying. He was praying for the woman involved. One thing he did so far, or he has done, is that he's been encouraging the ladies to be themselves, to be their, authentic selves, and express themselves, and, claim that is something that he really did love. One person he did encourage that with was Victoria, who is in the house, but I think she took it to the next level. She seemed to, be very outspoken, and that rubbed some people the wrong way, and it made her appear that she was targeting certain people in the house with her ways, whomever she felt was threatening to her and her relationship with Matt James, and it kind of got out of hand. So her, Katie, I believe, was someone. She was the last one who was voted off, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But they were kind of friends. So I was surprised it took this long for someone to say something, that Katie was there, kind of, buddy with Victoria. Maybe not at the same level in terms of intensity, because she wasn't saying those things, but she was, kind of along there with it, stirring the pot every now and again. Um, there were some other girls in the house that got voted out because of this, and people did butt heads. One thing that Matt did do, which I always kind of feel is a little much at times, is when they kind of put themselves in the middle of the drama. Now, it did get a little out of hand. So, with one situation, so he did have to step in. But some of the other things I felt were just kind of what goes on in that house or in that mansion. So, yeah, so that's my thoughts so far. Now I feel like it's actually getting more serious because we have gotten rid of those girls in the house who were bringing a lot of the storylines, I should say. Now, one thing I did want to talk a little bit about briefly was the last elimination that happened. Let me just grab something to drink really. Okay, I'm back. So, yeah, one of the things was the last date. And upon looking at this date in hindsight, I believe there were some clues that she just was not going to last beyond this date. The first clue was that this was not actually a date where she was getting pampered at the spa. This was a prank date that he was doing on his best friend. Now, it may seem innocent, but this is a telltale sign she was not going to be getting the rose. This is not a date where she is enjoying herself, and being pampered, and it's, something nice that he's thinking about her on a date. This is more of like, I don't even know if you can say high school, but maybe like elementary sort of date where they are pranking his best friend. And I just felt that this was not like the best way to make a first impression with his best friend, whom he lived with, or maybe still lives with, in New York City. And I mean, I can't remember everything with the date, but it seemed like she was making a lot of the commands that were happening. And it just, it might have been fun at the time, but she has to remember this is kind of like how she's making a first impression with him. If they do continue to date beyond this series and marry, I would think that he would move out and have his own place. But being that this is his best friend, you would expect that she would be maybe spending some time, and that was the fantasy that she kind of, started imagining, that they would all be going for games and stuff like that. So at the end of, toward the end of the date, when they revealed that it was just a prank and she came into the room, you could tell that there was just a little bit of awkwardness and something that perhaps was not really an approval from the best friend. So do you think that his best friend did not approve of her from that date, just based on first impressions, and that made him not choose her in the end? It is that is a question. That is a question. And again, then moving beyond that date, it was a very, very casual. I've never seen this level of casual dress for a sit-down dinner on the Bachelor or Bachelorette. And this is a candlelit romantic dinner, but just even her dress, she had like a ribbed tee and a puffer jacket. I don't know about for you, but to me, that was a sign that this was not going to go anywhere beyond that evening, because she really didn't get a chance to shine. This was not a one-on-one where she could shine. This is a one-on-one where she was, being very silly and kind of juvenile. And then when it came time for the dinner, there was no, oh, let's go, catch a live band or look at some fireworks. It was, let's sit here and talk about the silliness of the, I mean, it didn't obviously last long, the dinner. So that to me was a clue. And I just don't think that his best friend um, actually approved of her. And I think that's what really caused him not to pick her in the end as well. Now, do I agree with that? Of course not. I think that he's old enough to make his own choices and decisions. And, he's not going to be living with his best friend and his fiance or his wife. In the end, it's going to be him and his wife. Yes, you'll have a group of friends and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, when the lights go out and the doors get locked, it's going to be you and your wife, not you, your best friend, and your. I hope you enjoyed listening. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, and replay. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks for sharing part of your day with me. Bye.